Hello Clutch crew, welcome back to a new kind of video with me, JTX. Today I'm going to be taking you through Super Mario Maker and giving you my opinions on what the future of the game looks like. This is a game with a huge, passionate community, so I really hope you enjoy the nostalgia or learning about the game. Enjoy. Super Mario Maker was released on the 15th of September 2015 for the Nintendo Wii U console. The game was met by favourable reviews by critics and fans of the Mario games alike. Nintendo's senior game designer Takashi Tezuka had originally had the idea of making up a follow-up to Nintendo's art title from the Super Nintendo called Mario Paint. The game would utilise the Wii U's gamepad, which came complete with stylus. However, Nintendo's tools-making team had developed a tool to help design Mario levels internally, and the team pitched this as an idea as a game to Tezuka. He realised not everyone finds it easy to be creative with drawing, and that it would be more within people's reach to arrange pieces of a course and be creative with them. How creative they became exactly, no one could possibly have been prepared for. So the idea was conceptualized, made and released to critical acclaim. But there was one huge obstacle in the way to make a success of the game, and that was the platform it was released on, the Wii U. The Wii U had been released in November 2012, falling short of Nintendo's projected sales, and continued to perform poorly for the rest of its lifespan. Several big chain stores would stop stocking the Wii U and its games less than a year later, and along with the lack of sales came along the withdrawals of support from many third-party developers before being disqued in 2017, having only shipped 13.5 million units compared to Nintendo's previous generation console, the Wii, which shipped over 100 million units, and the other consoles of that same generation, the PS4 and the Xbox One, shipping 116 million and 50 million units respectively. It's very difficult to pin down exactly why the Wii U was a flop. It lacked the power of all the other consoles of that generation, but so had its predecessor, the Wii, which had outsold all the other consoles of that generation, and the Wii U featured the HD graphics which the Wii did not, which had been a huge criticism of the previous console. Nintendo failed to mention the rise in the ROM hacking community, and in particularly the SMW hack community contributing to the development of Super Mario Maker. ROMs, which were digital copies of games, had been freely available on the internet for many years, and were completely legal to possess and use so long as you own the original game. You're not allowed, however, to distribute these ROMs, and several websites were taken down for doing so. It's a strange grey area of the law, but so long as you're making digital copies of a game you own and it's for your own personal use, then that's perfectly legitimate. In the year 2000, Fusoya would release Lunar Magic, a level editor which allowed people to create their own version of Super Mario World. This would become slowly more sophisticated and intuitive over the years, with many contributing and creating extra tools to help alongside building Super Mario World's different ROM hacks. The community would eventually get in the hub in the form of a website called SMW Central in 2006, which gave a base to download and rate and share ROM hacks, but of course, not the original ROM. Nintendo has always been pretty clear on how they feel about using their software in a way that wasn't intended, but it seemed like there was nothing they could do from a legal perspective. It was never cited as a reason or inspiration to create Super Mario Maker, but it is my opinion that it was certainly a big factor in it. Mario Maker was incredibly simple and intuitive to use, and it was even made easier by using the Wii U stylus to simply drag and drop blocks and items into place. The game offered 4 different styles whilst all using the same mechanics in all, just with some different moves depending on which style you were using. This meant that the game handled quite unlike any other Mario game before it, and was seen as a much easier game to get used to with regards to movement. The game was praised for its easy-to-use tools, community and creativity, and there were several updates along the way to keep players' interest. The game would go on to sell 2 million copies by the end of 2016, so with discontinuation of the Wii U console in 2017, how did Nintendo manage to double the sales of the game? This is where the content creators stepped in. It didn't take long for the rising livestream and content creation platforms to see the potential in Super Mario Maker, and in 2016 the likes of Ryuka, Oricha and DGR Dave started to make content on YouTube. The game made for great content for live streaming and making YouTube videos alike, And best of all, it had more levels than could ever be played, and also the capacity to play viewers' levels that had been submitted. With the Wii U console being a complete flop, it meant that many people watching did not own the game, but still became experts at the lore of it despite having never played it. I can certainly remember when I started playing Super Mario Maker on stream myself, chat was helping me with all the nuanced technique despite having never played the game themselves. Not owning the game leads to a good level of intrigue, and I personally believe that the reluctance to purchase a Wii U actually helps the success of the game on content creation platforms. With some hardcore players beginning to grind the game, there was soon a need for a more difficult mode, but on March 9th, 2016, Nintendo added a Super Expert mode to their 100-man challenge. The 100-man challenge was a game mode in which the player would have a set amount of random levels in any particular order, but at a consistent difficulty, with 100 lives to beat them. In Super Expert mode, there were 6 levels to be beaten with 100 lives. This proved a very popular mode for content creators and big grinders of the game. Although popular to watch, the game was not without its faults. Creators quickly found many different glitches to exploit in levels, making them seemingly impossible. Nintendo would struggle to keep up with the glitches, and sometimes when they did patch out the glitches, the levels were often still left uploaded, rendering them completely unbeatable. Super Mario Maker also featured an online bookmark service, which players could access for free by logging in with their Nintendo Network ID. Having logged in, they could view courses that they had bookmarked on the game, or browse through levels to play online and bookmark to play at a later date. This bookmark service would come incredibly handy for something else: viewer levels. Viewer levels became the way to grow as a content creator in Super Mario Maker. Viewers could use the chat in live streams to add their level and automatically join a queue system, which used a bot that could add the levels to the player's bookmark system, and the viewer could watch players streaming through their levels live as it happened. The game remained popular with content creators, but with the rapid decline of the Wii U, the game didn't stand much of a chance of reaching its full potential. The successor to the Wii U, the Nintendo Switch, was released in March 2017 and was an instant hit, but with no mention of a second incarnation of the game, the world of Twitch and YouTube continued to grow with Mario Maker in spite of the death of the Wii U. Then, on February 13th, 2019, during a Nintendo Direct, this happened. Super Mario Maker 2 was born, and not only that, we would only have to wait 4 months for its arrival. We knew from the trailer that this new game would feature many new objects and enemies, and even a new style of level maker in the form of 3D World. There would later be a full Nintendo Direct Mini dedicated purely to Super Mario Maker 2. This Direct would show off much more of the game, including the highly anticipated Koopa car. It would also show clear conditions that had to be completed before you could finish a level. Super Mario Maker 2 was released to much critical acclaim on June 28, 2019, and had impressive sales figures. This was the best-selling game in Japan during its first 2 weeks of release, shifting nearly 300,000 copies, and would go on to sell over 7 million copies by 2021. Given that Mario Maker was a popular game for streamers and content creators already, without the game having been very well known at all, it was understandable that the streaming scene exploded with new Super Mario Maker 2 players, and especially as so many gamers now had a Nintendo Switch. The game went crazy on Twitch with a huge spike in people playing and watching the game, and still many more people watching after the novelty had worn off. And even after the game had leveled off in viewership, it had more viewers than Mario Maker had ever had even at its peak. It seemed that Nintendo had got a grip on most of the glitches and also managed to remove the levels if they contained a glitch from the game. All the extra scope for building, coupled with 3 free extra content updates, meant that the levels became even more crazy and the skill level needed to play them also rocketed. The game offered new online modes. These modes allowed people to play with their friends together, but also against each other. The principle was simple. It would give normal difficulty levels with 4 players from the same region. You could pick up your opponents and throw them, as well as fight for keys to doors and for clear conditions. However, this mode was slated by critics and players alike for the lag in some of the games. The game used a P2P connection for playing online. So what that means is, rather than each player being connected to a server and sending the data back and forth to all players from said server, all players are connected to each other simultaneously, sending the information back and forth between each other. Now, this is fine if you are geographically close to each other and you all have a good connections, but if you don't, you are only as good as the worst connection available. This could lead to a lot of lag and an incredibly frustrating experience. There was also another aspect to this online play, and this was versus mode, a ranked mode that was the most competitive mode in the game. In ranked mode, players compete with each other as I previously described in a race for the flagpole or axe. They gain points for winning depending on the rank of their opposition, and if it's a flagpole level, you can reduce the amount of points lost significantly by also managing to reach the pole in the short time that is given to you after the winner has reached it. The rank system starts you at D and goes back through the alphabet to A before you hit S, S+, and then pink S+. Each rank goes up at 1000 points until you hit 6000 points and pink S+. Once pink S+ had been achieved, the Versus community wondered where the ceiling was with the rank points. The race was on to be the first player to hit that ceiling. Aside from the technical issues with Versus mode, there was other problems with how seriously and competitive the mode was taken amongst the players. On the one hand, it's a competitive rank mode with its own leaderboard, and on the other hand, it's a Nintendo game. And Nintendo are known for trying to make their games more fun than competitive. A good example of this would be the levels chosen for the Versus multiplayer. These levels are chosen completely at random and are often won by luck rather than skill, and the characters are always set up right to left at the beginning in the same order. This obviously starts with Mario, which is particularly unfair in Super Mario Bros. Mode where you can't pick up your foes, and if the level is a straightforward run right level, the other players have no chance whatsoever. There are also many ways to give yourself huge advantages within the game, many of which are considered cheating by some but not others. An example of this is Flagpole Waiting. Flagpole Waiting is holding off touching a flag just as you're about to win to allow others to catch up and not lose as many points in the hope that they return the favour when they are at the end of a level first. This can only be done on flagpole levels. The game does allow for this, but it brought up discussions of whether this was morally justified from a competitive point of view. The peak would finally be discovered by a South American player at pink S+ 8000. However, the South American server rooms were seldom full, and players were taking it in turns to allow each other to get points and win whilst using the flagpole wait system. They could use this system so regularly that it was easy to boost each other all the way to the top. The lion's share of the Versus community does not consider this legitimate, but everyone finally knew where the ceiling was in Versus. To this day, nobody has managed to legitimately hit 8000 in Versus mode. The second installment of Mario Maker would take away some of the key features from the first game, such as the highly regarded 100-man mode, which was swapped for endless mode instead. They lost the online bookmark system from the original, and the ability to bring up the level editor for any level. The level editor could prove to be a big help in the original Mario Maker. You couldn't edit other people's levels, but you could find hidden blocks and more nuanced strategies for completing confusing levels. With the editor taken away, it was possible for creators to hide items in invisible blocks, which were absolutely necessary for completing levels anywhere on the map, and the player would have no idea of their whereabouts. It's difficult to say why Nintendo would take these popular modes and tools away, but if we know anything about Nintendo, it's that they like innovation and to try new things. That being said, we also seem to have almost the same incarnation of Mario Kart over and over again. So what does the future hold for Nintendo? As always, it's difficult to say. We've been told that there are no more content updates for Super Mario Maker 2, and it's difficult to see that they would release another Super Mario Maker on the same format in the Switch. So it looks like we're going to be looking at the next console for the next installment of the game. That's if there is a game at all. The game has been on steady decline with Twitch views and sales for quite a while, and it's only the 15th most popular selling title on the Nintendo Switch itself. I think it's difficult when you're really part of a tight community in Super Mario Maker 2 to see the game as the world views it as a whole. You can end up having very unrealistic expectations. However, as I said, I do fully expect there to be a Super Mario Maker 3 on the next Nintendo system. And I look forward to it and hope that we can fix a few of the problems with it and enjoy what is otherwise an innovative and exciting game to play. Thank you guys for watching. Expect more videos like this one weekly, so please hit that like and subscribe button if you possibly could. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.